welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. With 4 race starts, we're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red.
Category 4, always in the men's race, seemed to be one of the fastest starting packs.
Such youthful exuberance.
Neville Ross is absolutely on the attack at the moment in Category 3. He's got 14 seconds at the moment on the chasing group.
They closed him down, and now this is where, if they're smart, they could break clear maybe a group of 10 or 15 rather than dragging over 35-40 riders. Michael Knudsen, his teammate, trying to bridge across to him. Knudsen and X100 would make a very dangerous pairing up on the front. And when nobody really chased X100, Knudsen decided it was chance to go across.
Category 3 catch Category 4 leaders on the right-hand side of your screen. The Category 1 leaders are catching the Category 2 leaders on the left-hand side of your screen.
And they've come together. This is a run for the line. This is a sprint in. Will it be Noren? Will it be Knudsen? What? Johan Noren goes, but Knudsen's got over the top. Oh my goodness! On the line, Michael Knudsen takes it from Johan Noren.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh monthly final for September. We have seen 2 really close races in the last 2 qualifiers. It has literally been a hair on the line, and Knudsen has taken the win both times. Is he going to do it again today? Well, you can watch all of the action with me, Emma Martin, and live from the south of France in a commentary box down at the BMX, Matt Payne. Hello, Matt. So I think we have just lost Matt for a moment there, but never mind. We will pick that link back up and bring him back into the commentary shortly. So let's take a look at what we have in front of us today, because it is the monthly final. We are the 24th of September, and the men today, well, they are heading to Colombia, and this is going to be a cracking race on the Paso Alto. 45 kilometers of racing, 914 meters of climbing, and, well, 5 sprints along the way, and then those 2 climbs. Both Category 2. The first one, 5.5 kilometers, 6.1% average gradient. The second, 13.5 kilometers with an average gradient of 3.6%. And we have seen sprints at the finish line on this course before. I think we can just about say hello to Matt. Now, Matt, are you with us?
I am indeed with you, live from Sion in the shadow of Mont Ventoux, an epic climb. And I was just looking at the mile from where I am to the base of Mont Ventoux is about 22k. About 5 minutes, so it mirrors what we've got in front of us for our riders here on MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club here. Great to see these riders all ready to go, and great to be back in. So let's see how these riders get on when they go out on to the course. Emma, take us through the start.
Well, it is Category 4 who are going to start first today. Then 5 minutes later, Category 3. 10 minutes later, Category 2. 5 minutes later, Category 1. So we better touch base with Category 4, I think, because they are going to be the first group away. So teams today, Matt, quick run through.
So the teams today, we've got DC team, DS team, Eco team, and the Red Furies. This is just on the top 2 pages worth. The best team name today surely is Team Tiny Visma with the Anzac Tour de WTB are there. Well, great to see so many teams in there.
Yeah, so many teams in there, and you're right. Team Tiny Visma, Joy Kaluma, Astorga, Mamba, and Rodriguez, part and parcel of that. Can anybody beat the Anzacs? The riders are away, and we are going to find out. So a Storger we are in with. We are in with Team Tiny Vizsla as we get out and from the start pens. Now a pretty much a flat start in Colombia, other than the bridges that do come thick and fast. And well, those little bridges, often an opportunity for attack, but we see big groups rolling through this course now. 41 riders on the start sheets of Category 4 today, 9 teams. 11 different riders have finished in the top 10 this month so far with those 3 qualifying rounds. So some close racing. And in terms of our teams, I think that is really going to mix up. I think we're going to see Cobra Phil, we're going to see Team Tiny Visma, and we're going to see the Anzacs, who probably have got to be the favourite team today with Dadson, McMurtry, Yates and Allport. The 4 riders on the start sheets for that team today. Well, I think this is going to be some good competition, but can anybody take them out?
I'm not sure whether anybody can take this out, Emma. I think this is going to be all about making sure that you don't expend too much energy initially out from the start here. Sit in that group, really be smart. We've seen this time and time again. And when you add in the fact you've got team tactics, people are going to be looking after their teammates, going to be looking after the rest of the riders. And this is going to be really critical for me. Make sure you stay in, make sure that you keep it nice and smooth. And that is going to be really, really key, not to lose the group. And for me, it's about not losing the group rather than not accelerating off the front, because you don't want to burn it out. It's just that nice balance. You've just got to do just enough, and that is going to be critical. And I think that's true whether this is category 4, 3, 2 or 1 today, particularly with the parkour, because there aren't, we see the bridges. They are an attack point. They are a place where you can put people under pressure, but you're not going to win the race there. You might lose it, though, if you're not in the right place.
And I think that's key, isn't it? Because for this first 22 kilometres of this race, there pretty much is nowhere where you can win the race, but there are definitely places you can lose the race. And absolutely being key is staying part and parcel of what will remain into that first climb, a large race pack. So hanging on and staying onto that race pack, absolutely essential today. We can already see one rider just off the back of the group as the group is rolling around about 35 kilometres an hour. And that's a large group moving well. So on the top right-hand side of your screen, you can see on the profile, the riders are the yellow line crossing the white line at the moment. Absolutely pancake flat at the moment, but those bridges are just coming into view. Those small little blips on that flat white line, those are the bridges we've been talking about, and 4 or 5 of them in quick succession are what we will see riders utilise the opportunity for attacks on.
Yep, definitely those bridges are key. You put the attack in. And the long section, when we go back into the tunnels underneath the caves, that's where we really see that big difference. And I think there is another opportunity there to break things up. And of course, when groups come together, because we've got to remember that is going to be one of the key things today. When groups come together, if they're not on the climb when they come together, that's going to really change this. But this is such a big pack rolling through now. It's got its own momentum. It's got its own pace. Category 4 well underway here, Emma. And Luke Allport doing, well, what Luke Allport does best, ripping it up on the front again. No content with this being easy. He really does want to wind this up. He knows the bridges are coming. Well, will Category 3 be able to do the same? They're lined up and ready to go. And we've got some great teams in Category 3 as well here. So we have the Backstreet Boys, the Besenwagen. We've got Chase's cycling team. We've got the Colombian Andeans Colt team as well. That's your first half or first part of the team. We've got Draft, Happy Riders, and Kick Watts in here. Good to see we've also got Tom Hovey from Wolfie's Racing Team in and Nola Warren from the Svealand Cycling Team, but they don't have enough riders to qualify for the team competition, which is going to be so critical. And Emma, any particular riders stand out for you?
Well, 35 riders on the start sheets today, but this is an open race field. 14 riders in the top 5 from the last few qualifiers, and they are scattered across all of the teams.
So here we go. This is the countdown for Category 3 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club, and we are off and racing. So the second of our men's categories underway, heading out on this fantastic Colombian course, heading towards the Paso Alto. And already it's being wound up on the front. Tom Harvey, the man who we just mentioned, riding for Wolf, is racing a team. He's on the front already. Maybe we've spurred him into action here.
Well, we have indeed, because he is absolutely pushing it on the front and ensuring the pack get up to pace over 40 kilometres an hour in the first 300 metres. The stretch is on from the group behind, but now it's settling down and they are all coming back. Now, what I'm loving, Matt, is I am hearing horns and crowd from the BMX in my ears from where you are at the moment in that commentary box. It is like they are cheering the start on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
Well, I would be fibbing to say that everybody's watching my screen here for the MyWhoosh, but you know what? That is actually quite a collection of the tech crew and everybody else watching this whilst we've wait to go live for the BMX. So actually, there is a crowd in the background actually watching this live, and if you are watching on Twitch TV, YouTube, or whatever, it's great to have you on board. If you're here in the commentary box with me here, it's Sarah, thank you very much, guys. It's great to have an audience whilst we're commentating on this literally live at UCI event. Don't forget, of course, that MyWhoosh is the UCI official esports partner for the next few years, all the way to 2026, and really looking forward to what happens on MyWhoosh and when our MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club riders, who we know are some of the best in the world, are going to be out and racing. Great to see that mix of riders and that action.
What I'm looking forward to watching is the crowd on the MyWhoosh just after the MyWhoosh start pens, with those big horn blowers replicating what is going on live there in the south of France today, cheering our riders out of the start pen and onto the course proper. And they are up and out onto the course proper, and you can see those bridges coming on that top right hand corner of your screen for this blue jersey wearing Category 3 race field. The Category 4 race field, well, they are up and over the bridge already. There are more to come, and take a look on the bottom left hand corner of your screen. Now, that really is one of my favorite screens on the MyWhoosh platform, because it tells you exactly what is happening in the race field. We've got a rider off the back, and we've got a much bigger stretched group. That accordion is stretching at the moment over the climbs and concertinaing back together, and then it will stretch again. But at the moment they are rolling into a tighter group, and the next bridge, well, that is just around the bend.
It is indeed, and a quick reminder for people, remember that we have categories 4 and 3 separated by 5 minutes between 3 and 2. We have the race category separated by 10 minutes, and then it's 5 minutes following on from that.
And we can just see that Category 4 race field head on to that bridge as the numbers go skywards. I'm seeing 5 watts per kilo coming out of this Category 4 race pack. They are adamant they are staying on. That's Adriana Zanaska we were just in with there, and really pushing to stay with this group, because the front of the race, well, they are really making this difficult. Look at that stretch, and that is Joy Kaluma. Kaluma, one of our really strong riders in this race field. You know, he won last week. Absolutely fantastic. Member of Team Tiny Visma.
I know, what a great team name. I mean, I know Emma giggled about that with me, and I did, and we've been laughing about that. It is great to see so many people picking some great team names in here, and that team dynamic, that racing for each other, really does change how these groups are riding. Do you think, Emma, we're seeing a more conservative start, a less dynamic start, and a less of a gamble being taken by people because it is the monthly finals and we've got such big prize money at stake?
Good question. I think the course also contributes to the race dynamics early on. You know, it's a very much flatlands until we get into these bridges, as we just see a push on here now in this Category 3 race as they start to come into that bridge section and through the sprint. So I think I think this course lends itself to a steady start because we don't see the attacks and still we start to hedge those bridges. And those bridges are a perfect opportunity for stretching and dropping riders off the back of the group. So Ola Warren at the moment pushing on before we even get there. And he's pushed on through that sprint. Another tactic we've also talked about before in terms of utilising the sprints to break the pack, but really just stretching his legs and coming back into the group.
And it's always nice to be reassured when you're racing that you're on form because you've taken the skin suit and you've seen that change of colour of your avatar to change from the blue of your category into the green skin suit of our sprint leader. Now, a quick reminder, of course, the sprints do not give you prize money because on the Sunday Race Club, it's all about that finishing line at the end of the 45 kilometres for the men, 35k for the women, and our categories all have separate prize money as well. So category 4 are our standard category. The individual prize for first place, 2,160 AED, so all the prize money on here in AED. The team prize, 10,800 AED, a great top prize for category 4. But then you'll see that we move from category 4 to category 3 and the prize money increases because we are moving our way up through those competition categories. Monthly finals have both teams and individuals. The qualifiers have just the individuals. So from category 4 to category 3, you see a raise. And the category 3, that is 18,000 AED for the team win, 3,600 for first place. Top 5 in each category taking that. It's substantial money, isn't it, Emma? And of course, it goes up again to category 2.
Yeah, it does indeed go up again. And just a reminder that the men's and women's prize pot is identical. So category 2 prize money, the individual classification today, 6,000 AED for the win, down to 1,200 for fifth. That team classification, well, that is well worth fighting for because it's 30,000 AED for first, right the way down to 3,000 for fifth. So that is why the dynamics change when we get to the monthly final because, well, you can see why getting the right people on your squad and getting the right team drilled is absolutely essential.
And
so
when we
category
move up
1.
Category 1, yeah, Emma, this is the big one. 10,000 AED for the first place, 8,000 for second, 6,000 for third, 4,000 for fourth, and 2,000 for fifth place. Individually, the team prize, though, you ready for this? 50,000. So let's say that again. 50,000 AED for the win. 30,000 for second, 20,000 for third, 10,000 for fourth, and 5,000, a whopping 5,000 AED for fifth place. This is why the team competition is so critical because, of course, if you're in the team competition in the top 5, you're likely to have riders up at the top of the racing as well. So the action is going to be coming thick and fast from them. Now, Emma, we always go for a different currency here. Now, I've got one for this, and I'm sure you have as well. Do you want to go first?
Yes, because I'm dedicating this to the south of France because this is where you are at the moment. So I'm going for euro. Okay,
excellent.
So in the foothills of Mont Ventoux, the euro 10,000 AED, that is 2,550 euro.
I've gone for Colombian pesos. So if you were in Colombia outdoors, it's 10,722,969 peso. Colombian pesos.
Excellent.
So if you were racing there in Colombia.
Looking to win that money is indeed now our Category 2 race field, who are sat on the start line. Matt, run us through these teams.
Oh, so appropriate. Café de Colombia, the team named after the coffee brand. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, does it really, I suppose? You've got Colt Team Cycling Harrods, we've got Hexagon, we've got Hubbards in there. Really great teams with some fantastic riders in there, along with Panalati, the surprise team, and the Hitmen. Now we have a couple of other riders in individual teams. So Zaid Hamdan in for the UAE Falcons as well. We've got a number of individuals, but the big teams have got the big players, haven't they, Emma?
Well, it really is going to be who is going to beat the Hitmen today because Graves, Bjarhead, Yeast and Spratt, they have been absolutely dominant. Will they be today? So the seconds count down, away they have gone. This is category 2 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. This is the September final, and they take that swinging right-hand corner out of the start pen and onto the course. Now, this is Colombia, the Paso Alto, 2 category 2 climbs ahead of this race field today. The first of those climbs, 5.5 kilometers. The second, 13.5 kilometers. That is a lot of upward racing. And, well, the racing is well and truly underway already.
It
so
is,
the
and look
hitmen
at
are
this,
hitting
Henry
it.
Ace. Yeah, Ace has really gone for this, hasn't he, Emma? This is a big kick by him, and he's gone from the start at 7.5, nearly 8 watts per kilo. Categories 3 and 4 were pretty steady away. Category 2, all change. Ace and Graves Mayer. I mean, this is the big names, Spina, Spratt, and Winfield that we would expect, isn't it, Emma?
They are indeed, and they are all absolutely flying on this at the moment because because the hitmen, well, they are hitting it hard. So Graves is the rider, and now I'm looking at that. He's at 4 watts per kilo at the moment. Now, my reckoning is that is a managed effort from Phil Graves there to just try and control the front of that group at the moment while his teammate is pushing at 5.5 watts per kilo. He's on the front, but he's covering it, and he's not trying to drag him up. He's trying to compress that at the moment as Caligula comes up there, and Moreno. Biarhead is there as well, and Roncalli. So trying to squash this group and not let them catch the hitmen who are out and in charge today already.
Great to see. It's like somebody sent a squad up the road, and they've just gone, we're going to really take this on, we're going to rip this up, and we're going to make this hard for everybody else. But they can back this up. I mean, the hitmen are such a strong squad with Ace, with Grace, Biarhead, Spratt. You know, it is a big name squad. You know, it's that big UAE Emirates team equivalent almost in category 2. There's a team that go out, that out races a team, that look after each other and really look to dominate the racing and really make the racing happen. No boring tactics for them. They're not going to follow that. They're going to really make it exciting. You know, they're doing, they're doing Tadej Pogacar.
Well, send a rider down the road, and all the other teams are the ones that have got to work out what they're going to do. You know, so that is really interesting tactics this early on in the racing. And you know, there's some great teams in here, actually, Matt. So I'm not surprised they've used quite interesting tactics because Hubbard's a strong. Kirchner, Oijek, Winfield, and Kranich, strong team. Panolate, Caligula, Roncalli, Volk, and Quadrelli. The cycling parrots, Carsten Mayer, Giraldo, Ospina, Hernandez, that's David and Carlos, and of course Mendequez.
Yeah, and we've got the surprise team, which for me could be a big hit there, because
surprise?
You got Taylor Gonsolin, Gonsolin in
there.
there.
Acevedo.
Acevedo in there as well, Montoya. They're 3 riders who we know can be up there. In terms of the qualifiers, Emma, in category 2, how strong have, who have been the names who've been up there, who've been the winners?
Well, it has been very dominated by the hitmen, to be very honest. Graves had 2 wins and a 3rd. Biarhead a 4th. Yeast a 5th. Spratt a 2nd, a 3rd, and a 5th. Carsten Mayer, Cycling Parrots, has had a 3rd. Carlos Ospina has had a position in the top 5. So it really has been dominated by the hitmen.
Well, the hitmen dominated in category 2. Category 1, let's see who's going to take this out. They are lined up and ready to go. Some great teams on here as well. We've got the Beast Mode powered by Rose Squad. We've got the Belgian Waffles team, the Donut Give Up a squad as well. And the food continues onwards with the Gelato from Italy. We've got the International Cake Club, but the team who are the cream of the crop, it is the UAE Clan team, and they are the team who will be looking to dominate once again. But the squads around them have strengthened their teams.
Oh, yes.
Particularly people like Said Safrazad in Italian Gelato. And he's not the only one, is he, Emma?
No, he's not. Gelato, Nair, Mel, Safrazad, Noren, and Talbot. Noren has been on superb form this month. So is David Talbot last week.
So here we go. It is time to roll. The clock is ticking. It's the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club finals. This is it. No more dress rehearsals. It's time to make your way from the start. Head out on the Colombian roads and hit the slopes to the Paso Alto. In 45 kilometers and 914 meters of ascent. We're going to see who's going to take away that top prize in the team competition in category 1 of 50,000 AED. In the individual competition, 10,000 AED. Time to see who's going to make the racing.
Well, the last 2 weeks, we mentioned at the top of the programme, it's been very, very close on the Jebel-Hies. Last week, Knudsen took Noren in a sprint, finished 0.2 of a second. I said Noren was on form, and that was a big climb at the end. The week before, we were in Belgium. Knudsen took Fujassin in a sprint on the line, 0.1 of a second. Now, it really doesn't get much closer racing than that. Both of those riders, well, all three of those riders are in this field today, and they are spread across the UAE Clan Team, Italian Gelato, and Belgian Waffles. So with time gaps crucial to the team competition, because it is the top three riders in each team, their time is added together to give you the overall time of the team in that competition. This is going to be so important today, and we have seen big sprints at the finish line at the top of this Category 2 climb in Colombia from the Category 1 men. Back in July, Osborne won it in 1 hour 18 minutes, but it was a 6-up sprint.
A 6-up sprint is something else when you get to the top of a climb of that length, and to finish the race so close, it shows you how competitive and how brutal this race really is. Take the Sunday Race Club and then put it onto the Paso Alto, and we know that the Paso Alto, with that profile, the two climbs at the end, it really is going to test everyone. But you've got to be aware, you've got to be really switched on at the start as well, because we've got 5 bridges. We've got those bridges, we've got that, of course, profile in there. We've got all of these riders on the go, and as you can see, the riders are making the way out from the start pens, and they're going to be headed out across onto the climbs, onto the mountain. We have 2 categories on your screen, Category 1 on the left and Category 2 on the right.
Well, Category 2 are on those bridges, and we said that was the key attack point. And you can see on that right-hand side of the screen, on the bottom left-hand corner, they have indeed distanced a rider already, but that pack now coming back together after that bridge. Yet there are more bumps in the road up ahead. Category 1 have yet to reach those bridges. They are literally just 2 kilometres into this race, and they will be coming up shortly. We've still got a bit of a push on the front there, and I'm just taking a look, but Dan is in the group. Ross Fawcett is here this week. Bjorklund van den Eckhout is here. Tim Cutler is the rider just off the front of the group at the moment. Now, Cutler, he's an interesting rider because he often pushes on hard early.
He does, but he wouldn't be my wild card. He's a great rider and riding for the Donut Give Up squad, really good, but he's definitely not my wild card. My wild card is Saeed Carradine. And that is because Saeed Carradine has been right up in the mix. He's been right up there. And because he's not in a team, he has the freedom to do exactly what he wants. Here he is. He's in this group. He is a rider, I think, who could spring a real surprise on people today. I think it's going to be very interesting to see what he does. He's not going to have to work for a team. Okay, he's got to look after himself, but that could be really critical today.
Well, talking about being really critical today, this push on at the front from Cutler, he's kicking out at 8.5 watts per kilo at the moment. He's absolutely nailing it, and they've not even got to the bridges. So he's really trying to split and stretch this group, and I'm looking back behind, and it seems to be working at the moment. We've got another rider just getting distance off the back there. The question is, are they all going to come together after this sprint? Because that is the section Cutler is using to really push on here. I'm just looking to see, Matt, whether he sits up after that or whether he continues to push on. And he's continuing to push on. He's staying at 6 watts per kilo. So utilising the hidden nature of that sprint for an attack. You know, everybody thinks he's just going, but he really is just going down the road.
He is. He's going. He's gone well and truly. And look at this, though. As he came through, I mean, he was attacking here. Tim Cutler goes through 3 seconds down on Ruben Dudd of the squad's individual red running in the second category. And it shows you how hard category 2 are going there, doesn't it, Emma?
It does indeed, and I really think that was a concerted effort there to take that sprint, because sprints mean points, and the points are allocated overall to award a sprint winner at the end of the competition. Now, those sprints just mean points, they don't mean prizes, but Tim Cutler is really going for it here. Do you know, he's not backed off at all. He's now got a 10-second gap on this group, and they are starting to come into the bridges. Is he going to look at that? If he looks behind him, he's not even going to see the chase group.
And do you know what, Emma? I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, I know we're not biased and we want all our riders to do well, but I want Tim Cutler to really put in a big dig here and actually to make this stick, because if you're brave enough to go on the attack, definitely, let's see what everybody else does. Tim Cutler here has gone down the road. Now, remember, they've got Kaminsky theme Walter as well. Is this softening up the opposition for Michael Kaminsky, who's a rider we are waiting to take that really big win, the top spot on a Sunday Race Club?
Well, I don't know if he's setting it up for a teammate or he's setting it up for himself, but all I want to do is say, Tim Cutler, do not give up. Sorry, I just couldn't resist that. Well, you know, really when the team... I know, but when the team name makes you want to give him a shout, what more can you say? Well, Michael Knudsen is what more you can say. He has won the last 2 qualifiers. He didn't win the first qualifier of the month. That went to Michael Vink. But Knudsen has been on some serious form, and he has been practicing his sprints recently. Another part of the package to the phenomenal climbing we see from Michael Knudsen. Now, this is not particularly steep, the climbing today. In fact, I think the steepest section is on the Bogota climb at 7.7%. But the gradients, well, this is really interesting on this course for me, because the quality of this race field, the gradients are not too steep for anybody.
They're not too steep for anybody, are they, Emma? But what they are is that you need to be able to set a pace. We know Michael Knudsen can do that. But don't forget, the UAE clan team here are always very strong. We're in with Pablo Popovic at the moment, a teammate of Michael Knudsen, along with SS and Mr. X100. All those riders in that team can excel on the parkour we have here today. Popovic, great at carrying momentum. Mr. X100 sets a brilliant tempo. He can set a fantastic pace. We've seen him go through the groups on this climb. It suits him. We see Michael Knudsen using those climbing skills, his fantastic power to weight ratio, which is so critical for climbing, to ascend well. And we know that SS will work for the team, but it may be that today is the day he's given his head. And we saw that in the championship, the MyWhoosh championship, with that $1 million prize fund. When SS goes and works, we know that the pressure is on. We know that if he's given his head, he can take the win. I think it is going to be the UAE clan teams to lose today, given the shape of the terrain and the parkour. But I don't think they've probably had a tougher day out at the office than they're potentially going to get today.
Well, it is potential, isn't it? And what potential are we going to see today? Because that is what is going to be really interesting as we come into the next bridge and the net group roll in and up and over the wooden boardwalk. So the category 1 are well and truly now 6 kilometres into this race. They are up and over the bridge. David Talbot is here, Vida Mayer is here, Ross Fawcett, Bart van den Eckhout, Che Holweiler is here, Alberto Zabata is in the mix, so is Jakob Bjorkland. SS is on a roll, so is Mr. X100. These are all the names we expect to be in this group, and they are all in here in the mix at the moment.
So just watching Mohamed El Alami at the moment, just making his way up to the front of the group here. Another rider who I think is going to put in a great ride. Whether he will match his countryman, say, Carradine, I'm not so sure, but we're going to find out. I think this is a really interesting mix of riders today, because we do have people like Rakadal Theme in there. We've got Betty, Arrego, Franco, Shinelli. We've got Gomez joining those individual riders. There's quite a lot of riders riding as individuals, and that is going to really be telling. So here we go. Tim Cutler back in the fold, being pulled back into the group, still wearing the green sprint jersey. He's now on his way up here, making his way down on through the bridges, and that attack by Cutler was definitely not the attack that stayed clear. But I'm not sure whether he's going to be able to continue. Maybe he just needs fueling up a bit more. I mean, these riders, they've got to be fueled up. They've got to be able to keep on board enough calories, enough fuel to not just answer the attacks through the sprints, but to move onwards. But they're conserving energy at the moment. I mean, look at that. This is the result. This is Category 2 leading on the sprint, on the Amazon Bridge sprint. They've got the fastest times. They're faster than Category 1.
I can tell you they are, because our Category 1 rider, Von Haren, is the first rider through at 17th position. Gomez Valencia, look at that kick, 11.2 watts per kilo. He went for that, taking those points off of Don, who took the win the time before. That is really interesting. There's competition for the sprints in Category 2. Carsten Mayer in 3, Phil Graves in 4, Cam Winfield in 5. Well, they're not fueled by Fritz and Mayo like you may be if you're watching the BMX in the south of France. But Ruben Gomez, well, he's on the front of the Category 2 race at the moment.
Well, come on, look, we've got people who the teams in Category 1. They're naming it after food. They're going to make people hungry. They've made me hungry. Unfortunately, the team here aren't just watching the action here at Sarin. They're also, of course, bringing me Fritz and mayonnaise, and it's the BMX. I mean, it's definitely a very different atmosphere to esports, but what does tie it together is you get world champions riding, you get the international riders there. We see riders like Jason Osborne, just finished the Vuelta, where Fritz and mayonnaise are definitely not the choice, the food of choice. But we also see these top quality riders who time and time again are racing internationally. Michael Vink is a perfect example, isn't he? He's a rider who rides at the very best level for the UAE clan team, but we see him, and he was there taking victory in qualifier race number 1 here in Sarin. And I'm watching some of the best riders yesterday, and when we finished the MyWhoosh broadcast, well, I'm going to be switching my attention across to that BMX once again, because we've got world champions here, and I think it's one of the exciting developments for MyWhoosh now being that UCI esports partner to 2026. It's going to bring another dimension in to the racing, and lots more people hopefully going to be able to experience not just racing on MyWhoosh, but riding on MyWhoosh. If somebody wants to have a ride on MyWhoosh, Emma, what do they need to do?
Well, head over to mywhoosh.com and download the app, because then you can start to explore the worlds of MyWhoosh, and not just the different worlds and the different routes, but there is everything from training plans to social rides to racing. And of course, there is the Sunday Race Club. And wouldn't it be fantastic to have you as part and parcel of the Sunday Race Club for October, because the start of the month is the best time to join. So if you head on to mywhoosh.com, you click on the events page and then click on the Sunday Race Cup, it will give you all the information you need, whether you are category 1, 2, 3 or 4, to come and join us next month. The technical guide, the rule set and the frequently asked questions are all there for you to help you. And there is obviously also the support email should you get into a pickle and need to ask a specific question. Head over, take a read.
Getting into a pickle.
Get set up. Well, we're talking about food, aren't we? Pickle is
well, yes, I think it's brilliant. It's definitely got
from a place called Branston in the UK.
Yes,
but
that is
yeah,
true.
Head over there and join us for October. We'd love to see you on the Sunday race. Whilst we're talking about cakes, not cakes, sorry. Whilst we're talking about food, I'm going for the cake option. I'm going category 2 Pano Latte. Cake and coffee in one name. What more could you want?
True, but there is the International Cake Club on category 1 as well. So I love the imagination that people put into their team names. Please, guys, do get in touch with us. Let us know. Give us a heads up what your team's going to be called. We really like to know. So
and why?
Don't just... Yeah. So get in touch. Get hold of @BikingEmma on Instagram. Get hold of me. It's Matt Fix Pain across social media. Let us know what your team's going to be, what the team name is, why it's called that. If you have a particular affection for Café de Colombia, for that particular type of coffee, whether you are a Belgian waffles fan, or tell us why. Tell us. I mean, some of them are very obvious. Do not give up. It's a fantastic play on words. But at the moment, we're watching Carsten Meyer. Meyer at the moment are riding in category 2. Going to be very interesting to see how Carsten Meyer gets on, because remember, of course, he's up against some very strong scores. The Cycling Parrots team with a very unusual name. So the riders on the way through. You can see category 2 in the tunnels on the right-hand side. Left-hand side, and now going onto the big screen, it's SS once again, pushing the pace up here, 7.5 watts per kilo. Now, Emma, do you think this is nullifying a potential attack through the sprint here? Do you think he's basically said, do you know what, we're not going to let you go. I'm going to just keep you, Mr. Cutler, from going on the attack straight away?
Oh, I think that is exactly the tactic we've just seen from the UAE clan team. You know, let's nullify an attack by putting one in ourselves. So going through that section, pushing on. In fact, look at that. I tell you, Ruben Dont is up for this points competition today. So Dont, Mayer, Valencia, Walter, SS, Acevedo, a complete mix and match of yellow and green jerseys.
It is multicolour. It really looks to me like, you know, we do quite often see the other categories leading the pace, leading the racing through when we're in the early stages of the racing, and then you see category 1 starting to wind it up, starting to pick up the pace, starting to drive forwards. And that is really then when we start to see that acceleration. That, for me, really does make a difference. You see that acceleration, you see the pace pick up, and it's like almost they know that if they wind it up, it's going to really, really make it tough for the rest of the riders. So the riders at the minute on the way through. Rafael Montoya leading through here in category number 3. We've got category 3 and category 4 well down the road from categories 1 and 2. 3 and 4 on your screens at the moment. 3 on the left of your screen, 4 on the right hand side of your screen. Working well at the moment, but can they make this decisive? At the moment, they're bringing big groups to the base of the climb. A reminder, of course, that the climb starts at 21.9k of travel, which means that once you hit the slopes, as category 4 have done, you know that pretty much there is only one exception to the only way is up, and that is the flat rolling bumpy, the FRB section that separates part 1 of the climb to part 2. So that separates the Medellin climb from the Bogota climb here on the Paso Alto. At the moment, Omar Vaz leading them in from Brazil. He's ahead of Adriano Zanasca. Adriano Zanasca, one of our regulars with Brett McMurtry, really winding it on. Meanwhile, category 1 looks like Vidal Mayer has gone on the offensive. He went through that sprint really hard. He put in a fast attack. He answered what had been a push by SS. And Vidal Mayer at the moment, he's got 7 seconds. 7 seconds, Emma.
Yeah, he has indeed, and it's a right push on at the moment. So whilst category 4 is on the mountain, on the Medellin climb, category 1, well, they are 12.3 kilometres into this race and just picking up the back marker in the category 2 race is Vida Mayer. He is pushing on in the category 1 race. He does indeed have 7-8 seconds now. Starting to see Limborn put a push on at the back, and Vujasin. Vujasin's just kicked to 5 watts per kilo, trying to get some help to bring this back in, but everybody else is looking quite comfortable in that pack at the moment. They're all sat sub 4. Now, sub 4 in the pack is not going to bring him back in.
No, it's
Well,
not. It's
this
not going to bring
is
him back in, is it,
interesting.
Emma? Yeah, really interesting. And I think what we're going to see is Mare being left out to dry. You've got plenty of distance. We're at 12.5k, just over 12.5k. We're going to hit 22k just about before we hit the climb. They've got the time to let him go out there, burn himself out, use up lots of energy, and then pull him back later on. But they can't let him go too far. And I'm going to be interested to see how long do they leave him.
Well, this is really interesting from a team perspective because Mary's part and parcel of the Italian Gelato squad, who have a full complement of riders this month. So 5 riders on Italian Gelato. He's got Zach Nair, Said Safrazad, Johan Noren, and David Talbot as teammates. Now, for me, this would be phenomenal tactics because Noren and Talbot we know are on really good form. They've already had top 5s between them this month. Zach Nair, Said Safrazad, well, we know both of those can climb as well. So by putting Mel down the road, is this the Italian Gelato's effort at finally breaking the stranglehold on Category 1 that the UAE clan team have?
I think this is that's a really good point there. And I think you've got to try something different. You've just got to keep trying different things. I mean, we're just going back past the bends. We've done our loop out on the flatlands. We've been over the bridges. We've been over the basin. We're now going to come into the tunnels. If you attack early and you start to change your tactics and change it up, then at least you are making the big team, whoever that is and whatever category you're in, actually have to work. They've got to think about this. They've got to respond to it. And I always think it's better to drive the racing than it is to be a passenger in the race. Because although you save energy being a passenger, you're having to dance to somebody else's tune. Somebody else is setting the tempo. Somebody else is setting that pace. We're now seeing SS. He's having to respond here. The team from the UAE clan team are doing exactly what Emma said, having to respond here. And it's Vidal Mayer who has put them under pressure.
Well, but take a look behind. Everyone now is jumping on SS's wheel, but they're not leading the charge. Von Haren is there, Kaminsky is there, Martins is there, Talbot. Everybody is watching, everybody is managing their effort, and they're leaving the UAE clan team to do the chasing.
They are, and that chase, being led by UAE clan team, is using energy. At some point, the clan team are going to sit up and go, do you know what? We don't mind. We'll let him go down the road. We know we've got the power later. We're going to let him go. And I think for me, that would be my tactics. It is dangerous, though, because if you give somebody too much room, then they can go on. But they know that if they go in together, they're going to be well away as they come on to the climb. Really interesting, though, looking Category 4, they're continuing to push up the climb, whilst Category 1 are in the tunnels, making the way through. They're going to go underneath the roadway. You can actually see that they're going to go through the tunnels. They are working well here in Category 1. Big group, not strung out. They're all the way across that bridge, over the top of the wooden boardwalk there. Meanwhile, Ruben Don, the man who seems to have decided that he's going to make things very spicy at the front of Category 2, he's gone, but look who's with him. Henry East is up there. They have got a slight gap to Carsten Mayer, and then behind, surely they're going to hit Panic Station soon. When you've got East, you've got Mayer on the move, you've got to come, and it's Moreno potentially who's going to be leading the chase. 7.2 watts per kilo just coming out of Moreno. Look at Johan Moreno. He does not want to miss out on this move. He knows the danger of those riders in front. And at the moment, Moreno is the man who is moving across this. Really interesting. Moreno Cafe de Colombia having to respond to the push that's being put in. Now, Vidal Mayer in Category 1, the man with what is currently a nearly 20-second gap. I'll say that again. Nearly a 20-second gap. This is a big push by him, and he is into our next sprint. Now, 15.7 kilometers. He is making his way in the Sangil sprint. Going to be very interesting to see how that chase comes. And it's SS, look at this, doing the work again, Emma.
It is, and Pablo Popovic's teammate has come to his side to help out a little bit here, because at 20 seconds now, this is dangerous. But look at that. Carradine also coming up now. Is Carradine coming up here to sprint across, or is he just looking to take the effort? And I think he was just looking to take the effort there and pick up points, because he's come off the pace completely, and SS has had to jump back on. So SS jumping back on there, and well, look at that through that sand-gilt sprint. It is indeed the hitmen, you know, the catch to Ruben Dont is what has allowed that 21.7 second time. And then take a look. Yep, it was indeed Carradine's push that gives him the fastest time from Category 1. 1.7 seconds slower, though. Mayer, Graves, Callison, Von Haren, Nair, they are all there or thereabouts, around 3 seconds behind Henry MyWhoosh from the Hitmen.
So that was the snapshot, the window as you came in through that sprint. That we'd seen that move there go through. SS Pablo Popovic from the UAE clan team. Interesting to see that with Knudsen now hovering around the front as we approach the 16.5 kilometer marker. Remember, the climb does not start till 21.9k. 21.9k is when the climb starts. This is not the run for the start of the climb. This is about not giving Vidal Mayer too much sliding room. Vidal Mayer is a dangerous, dangerous rider. Anybody who is racing in Category 1 in the finals, they are a danger. You cannot let any of them go in and through on their own. You can't give them sliding room. You can't send them up the road, because if you do, you know that is incredibly dangerous, and you could be giving away the race. Emma, this response by the UAE clan team is costing them a lot of energy here. Is that going to be telling when we come to the top?
It's costing them a lot of SS's energy, but you know, he is the workhorse of that squad. You know, he really does the business for them, and he's doing the business for them today. But just taking a look there, that looks like Mayer's coming up onto the back of the Category 2 riders. They're not too far away from him. But SS, you know what? He really is pulling, and I think he's got Mayer in his sights now. That gap is coming down, and the second you can see the rider in front, the motivation to catch just gets stronger, and that is what SS is doing. But actually, I think Mayer has decided that he is going to get caught, and in fact he's come off the pace. He's sat now at 3.1 watts per kilo. He's no longer at 6. He has actually sat up and is waiting for the catch to happen.
And he's on his way now, I think, back into that group. Here he comes. So it was a speculative attack. It has, I think, achieved what he wanted, which was to make the UAE clan team work. That was critical. And that is, in some ways, all that you can actually ask is that you go on the front, you make it hard, you make it tough. What happens now is key. The team are going to have to see whether there is another attack. Meanwhile, on the front of Category 2, really interesting to see them moving.
Yeah, they are moving indeed, because Moreno, Mir and Winfield, 3 riders up there with Dont. Henry MyWhoosh is there too. That's 5 riders now leading in a 5-man breakaway, and they've got 14 seconds now back to the chasing group. Now this could be really good. They have just gone over the top of the medaling climb. They are now they've just gone into the bottom of the medaling climb. Let me get that right. As a 5-man breakaway with a nearly 20-second gap, that has got to put those 5 in a strong position.
And there are 5 riders, 5 prizes. That is a nice group. I mean, it is a good breakaway group. It is a right number for the prizes. Whether it has the right composition, though, for the team competition is going to be another thing. And I don't think that when you've got so many strong teams as we now have on the Sunday Race Club, I don't think there is such a thing as an ideal composition that all the teams are going to be happy with. That's just not ever going to exist. So there's always going to be this chase and this push. As we hit the climb here in Category 2, you can see Filippo Quadrelli here, just having to sit up a little bit there. Now, we might have expected Filippo Quadrelli to push right on at the front. We know he's an incredibly strong rider and is more than capable of opening up a gap on a group. But at the moment, he's sitting in with this pack. Emma, Quadrelli's tactics here, is this being wise? Maybe just waiting for later to put that kick in?
Well, Quadrelli and others, because there's a lot of the hitmen in this group. I'm just trying to work out who was in that leading group of 5 again, because Cam Winfield was leading it. But Carsten Mayer, Cam Winfield, these riders are not the hitmen riders. So this really is absolutely taking it to the hitmen. Just Henry Use from the hitmen, so just one of the hitmen's riders in that squad. Hubbards have got riders there. Just having a little look, Hubbards have a rider there. Cycling Parrots have a rider there. This is a really interesting tactics from this group.
It's interesting tactics, but good tactics, which is what we love.
Oh, yeah. So Daunt is an individual rider, and then we've got, there are no 2 same teammates in that leading group of 5. They are all either an individual rider or a member of a different team. Now, that makes for an interesting lead in Category 2. Tim Cutler is going again off the front of this Category 1 pack, making for an interesting race here. And take a look at that. SS is straight on his wheel. Michael Knudsen is doing some work as well, because they are about to come into the bottom of the Medellin climb. They are at 20.4 kilometers. They do not have much further to run before they hit the bottom, and this is getting a bit spicy at the moment.
Oh, the food references come in. It's definitely spicy. It's definitely getting hot. It's a nice hot chili at the moment, I think, as they come in through. And you can see we have got big representation by the clan team now. They know that this is the danger moment. If somebody can get a slight break, a little bit of a gap now, this is when things could become troublesome. We are starting to see riders disappearing off the back of the group here. So Cutler really stretching it out, provoking another response there. Are we going to see another move over the top? It's going to be SS who takes the lead at the moment. So SS with the blue shoes and the blue cap, very distinctive riding gear as he goes in and through, but there is still a big group here. This is still a big bunch. This is still going to the move here. It is incredibly tough at the moment, I think, just to stay in this group, because it is so dynamic. There is very rarely a moment for rest. For me, it's now about who hasn't shown themselves on the front, who's not put themselves up in front of everybody else. Saeed Safrazad, not been out the front. Martin Martins, I know he's on form. I've been watching his racing and his action. He is a rider who at the moment is riding very strong indeed. You couldn't discount him. We know that he's a rider who can be right up there. But we've got lots of riders. I mean, Michael Kaminsky's not really been in sight. And Johan Noren, well, he's probably had the best month of qualifiers he's ever had.
Well, and let's not discount David Talbot as well. I've not seen much of him, or Lionel Vujasin. All of them hidden within that group. And take a look at Noren's heart rate, 125. So he really is trying to have a steady first half of this race, because he knows how hard he is going to have to work in the second half of this race.
So here we go. So we're on to that second half, aren't we, Emma? It is. The climb is coming, and they're pushing into it. This is a bit of a squeeze here. I'm starting to see 5 and 6 watts per kilo
from SS
as they come in.
And Bart van den Eekhout is up there as well, but it's SS doing the main push into this climb. They're not going to get an easy run in, to the Medellin climb. 6.1% average gradient, 5.5 kilometers. It's a Category 2 climb. And it is just the start of the climbing today. There he is. Lionel Vujasin comes to the fore. He picks up the pace. Knudsen is coming up. So is Simon Walter, David Talbot, Michael Kaminsky, Martin Martins, Van Elst. They are all lining up.
This is it. This is the run. This is when we're going to see the real big selection made. I think you can see, you can almost sense the urgency at the moment. The watts per kilo have gone up. They're up to 5 and 6s here. The push is on. And this is desperate stuff today here on the slopes of the climb. The pressure is on, and you've got to answer the moves if they're being made. There's a lot of people in the red, in that yellow. And now another move going on the front. I'll tell you something, Lionel Vujasin today, he really wants to make this tough.
Well, you wouldn't think there was another 22 kilometres, more than 22 kilometres still to race. They're not quite. They are just halfway. It's amazing. This is absolutely full bore at the moment on the lower slopes of the Medellin climb as they absolutely fighting each other for position. The group is stretching and there are yellow jerseys off the back. That bottom left-hand screen at the moment is absolutely bob on for telling you what's going on in this racing as this pack continues to stretch, and it is Noren doing the work on the front with Van Elst and Safrazad. Pablo Popovic now coming up to the fore, but it's not the UAE clan team. They're still keeping their powder dry. It is everybody else taking the climb to them.
So here we go. Attacked by Noren on the front, stretching the group out. Everybody now answering, the group thinning down. Category 1 left-hand side of your screens. Category 2 right-hand side of your screens. Lots of bodies regrouping here. We're in with Nicholas Spratt, one of the Hitmen squad at the moment on the right of your screen. But look at the number of riders who are rejoining. And I think the Hitmen are holding fire at the moment. Phil Graves, not yet been on the offensive. Spratt sitting in with that group. Both riders who can go on the attack. That's Category 2. In Category 1, we are seeing the screen lighting up as Michael Knudsen now goes off in pursuit. He knows the danger. Noren's gone. Popovic has gone. Vujasin has gone. And now Knudsen is going to join them. The panic stations will be on. The sirens will be sounding behind because this is a potentially race-winning move. You've got Knudsen on the front with Noren, Vujasin and Popovic. If these four can pull clear, they could be your race-winning four here. But this is going to come down to this move. And as has said, we are only just into the second half of the race. This could be an absolutely critical moment, but look at the response has come, and this is pulled back. How you will make it.
I know, because they are so well matched, this group, and everybody is on form at the moment, it seems. Talbot is there, Kaminsky, Josh Harris is in the mix, Ross Fawcett is in the mix, Kaminsky, Knudsen, Safrazad, Mayer, Walter, Thiem. You know, they are all absolutely fighting for it because they know with the types of gradients we have got today, it pretty much suits everybody. And we talked about this in the women's race, didn't we? We talked about courses being fabulous race courses and other courses being great to ride. This, for me, is another fabulous race course.
This is a fabulous race course, and it is a route I would absolutely detest riding. I have to say, for me to ride, honestly, come on. I mean, it's like flat. Oh, half of it's all uphill. You know, that I know, Emma, for you, that is like your idea of nirvana. It is just the place you want to be. For me, no. Honestly, it's just an unmitigated purgatory from bottom to top of this club. However, if I was racing this, that is a whole different story. I would love to race this because this, I think, gives you so many opportunities here to attack. It gives you the opportunity to come back, and it's not just about changing gradient, it's about the way it twists and turns, the way it swoops to the left, it tightens to the right, the way that you can't see. People can get out of sight and out of mind very easily indeed. That for me is really critical. Add to that the quality of riders we've got, and riders really do make the racing. It doesn't matter what discipline you're in. You add all that together and you've got a fantastic race on your hands. I would love to beat that. Apart from the fact I have got absolutely no chance, I'd be miles behind.
Well, talking about being miles behind, take a look at the damage being done by this pack in the Category 1 race. There are yellow jerseys smattered down the mountain behind them. That is a snaking mountain road with yellow jerseys and green jerseys all behind this leading group in the Category 1 race at the moment. They are ploughing towards 25 kilometres of this race complete, and it is a world, I'm going to say it again, it is a world-class race field with world-class racing. Category 3, well, it looks like there's a lone leader about to go under that banner, but this Category 1 pack just keep motoring at the moment. They just keep fighting. Honestly, you read that list of names on the right-hand side, it's almost like you're reading the list of starters in the World Championships.
Indeed, it looks that way, doesn't it? And they're showing just why these riders are so highly regarded across the world of esports. Now, they're on the way up the first of our climbs, coming into the FRB section, the flat rolling bumpy, so named by Emma. It's going to get its own official FRB section one of these days. It is the riders in Category 3. Heath Eckersley swept up into this group. And as they reform, they're then going to make their way through the FRB section before they move on to the second part of the climb, and that is the Bogota climb. So if you cast your minds back, it was flat for the first half. We had a steeper section taking us in, which was the 5.5k of the medaling climb. Then it's the flat rolling bumpy section that takes us to 31 kilometers, and then we're on to our ascent. Quick reminder for everybody, 44.5 is where we will see the finish banner for the climb, which is the polka dot banner, but the yellow banner of the race finish is a further 500 meters from the end of the polka dot banner. Really critical to remember that when we come into the finish. Now, action on the left of your screen and the right of your screen from categories 3 and 4, but yet again Category 1 is lighting up. This time Mr. X100, we talk about people who we've not really seen very much of so far. Mr. X100 and Pablo Popovic have decided that it's time for a two-up off the front.
Well, they have indeed, and it's Safrazad who's pushed on to cover. Knudsen is quickly on the wheel, so is Kaminski. Noren, a little bit of a gap back now to Noren, Kaminski. Martins, all there and thereabouts, just taking a little bit steadier to close the gap, knowing that the pace is going to come off. That attack was at over 7 watts per kilo, knowing it was going to drop a little and give them an opportunity to squeeze back on, and that's what they are trying to do behind. So the group reforming, the attack from X100 not going clear, but enough just to test people's legs, and I think that's what the riders are doing at the moment, because the second climb today, the Bogota climb, nowhere near as steep as the Medellin climb. So this is the climb for removing riders from the back of the pack.
Yep, and taking riders
really
at the back of the pack
well.
is important, isn't it? Yeah, I think that is a really good point here, Emma. It's almost as important about removing riders and shedding them out the back, that attrition of the pack and the damage done, shedding riders out the back, as it is about just breaking way and clear on the front. And you can do both at once. You can really cause those problems. We're seeing that on the left of your screens. Right hand side though, it's much more compact. That's our Category 2. Now, they're a much more compact group and much more closely matched. Cagey.
Well, cagey, I think, is a great word today, and that is what that Category 2 race field is, because they are nearly at the top of the climb. They've got 400 metres to go till they get to the top of the Medellin climb, and that is one very large group together. We're starting to see a bit of a push on the front, realising that there's only that 400 metres until they get to the top of the climb, but realistically now, you know, there is not a lot of time to do much damage. It looks as though they have brought that leading group back in, so we had 5 riders clear in that group. Now we've got a big stretch, and take a look on that bottom left hand screen of the Category 2 race. There's a large leading pack, and then not very far behind there's a large chasing pack. So this is really interesting, this Category 2 race.
So as they make their way up through the top of the climb. Really interesting, isn't it? Spratt, Graves, Mare up at the front. They are, in fact, this is a sub-split of Group 1. So this isn't the Group 1 to 2. This is Group 1 splitting apart to go over the top.
Yeah.
And that is a bit driven by the Hitmen, by Spratt, by Graves. They've got Mare trying to come across into the wheels as well. And that is telling, because at the moment, Mare from Cycling Paris is having to answer the Hitmen as they go through. Behind, it's 7 seconds back to Ospina, to Orlando, to Bjarhead, or Oviedo, Mendakowicz. The usual names, but they've just missed a trick there, I think, going over the top. I think they thought it was going to ease as they came under the banner and over that long bridge that brings you in to town. However, it wasn't enough. They had to keep pushing, and this group has gone clear. But one thing we know about the FRB section is it's a great place to bring riders back in if they've got a gap, isn't it?
Well, it is a great place to bring riders back in, but I'm looking at the power being put down by Spratt and Graves. I don't think anybody's bringing those back in. I think that 3 could well be clear now. They've got the class to do it, and taking a look at this, Noren is leading the charge here. He's got the class to do this as well. So X100, Noren, Safrazad, Martins, Popovic. Knudsen now coming onto the back of that group with Vujasin. This, for me, looks as though it is the leading group, and it's looking like Vanden Eekhout, Kaminsky, Cutler have not made the group. So we've got what seems to now be a leading group in this Category 1 race, and a number of chase groups down the mountain as they come towards the penultimate section of the Medellin climb.
So looking at this, it's really interesting the way this race has developed across the terrain. Now, Mr. X100, Pablo Popovic leading this group up. They've got Martin Martins, Lionel Vujasin, Said Safrazad, Michael Knudsen in there. This is a real who's who of Category 1 at the front. They're coming up towards the banner. This is the UCI banner at the top of the climb here, over the top of the Medellin climb. The 5.5k are done. We're going to get a new fastest time up on the screens very shortly, because they are the leaders on the road in terms of Category 1. They're going to be the fastest. Remember that there was a huge gap. They were 10 minutes behind Category 4. They were 5 minutes behind Category 2. 15 behind Category 3, and already they are catching some really class riders. People like Paolo Kuchner just being pulled back in by the leaders in Category 1, and the leader on the road at the moment is Mr. X100. Let's look at those times. This Mr. X100 who's leading them out. Take us through those times, Emma.
Well, take a look at that. X100, 12 minutes 41 seconds, but they are lining up within 1 second behind him. So Martins, Popovic, Safrazad, Noren, Knudsen, Talbot, Vujasin, and I think that is Tim Cutler in 9th place. Look at that. That is really interesting, isn't it? So, yeah, it is going to be really interesting to see there. We've got Belgian Waffles, we've got the UAE Clan team, we've got Italian Gelato, all in the mix.
And this mix is a really interesting one, because we've got Mr. X100 up on the front here. He is setting the pace, and quite often we see Mr. X100 time trial his way up, set a pace from maybe being 5th, 6th, 7th in the, or maybe even 10th, 12th in the race route, to climb up into the top 4 or 5. This time round, we're on to the rolling section here. Mr. X100 is off the front. He's gone clear.
He is
Knudsen
indeed, and look at that kick.
12
watts per kilo from Knudsen.
He knows a wheel to follow when he sees it. And what better wheel
look
than
at the
his
response
teammate?
from behind.
It's kind of there, but it's kind of not. Do you know what? That gap is opening up a little bit. I think they're looking at each other, because you've just seen Knudsen go at 12 watts per kilo to get across. The group are thinking about this, but look at the lack of colour on the right-hand side. There's no chevrons on there. They are looking at each other now. Who's going to do this?
Safrazad. Safrazad, Noran and Talbot need to absolutely respond and respond quickly, because otherwise this is a UAE clan team. They've done it. You know, Safrazad, Noran and Talbot, Italian Gelato have got 3 riders in that breakaway. They've done a phenomenal job till now to get all 3 riders into that. You know, their other riders, Vidal Mer has done his work for that squad. So Safrazad, Noran and Talbot are the riders who need to make the junction to X100 and Knudsen, or else it is all over for Italian Gelato. Until this point, they have had a phenomenal race, absolutely brilliant. They now need to continue to get into position and to not let that gap go too far down the road, or it will all be over.
It will. They're going to give away first place in that team competition for the 50,000 AED if they do not pull back the 2 riders in front, because they need to not give away that time. 3 riders in your team to count, maximum of 5 riders. So the 2 first counters at the moment on the road, they are the riders from the UAE clan team. That is going to be Mr. X100 along with Michael Knudsen. Any time gaps they get at the moment gives them a head start on the rest of the teams, because their 3rd counter from the UAE clan team is in this group as well. So it is really, really critical for the rest of the teams now to look at this and make some really decisive moves here. Be very positive in their racing and don't let all that hard work go to waste and give away that top prize.
Well, not giving away the top prize at the moment is Mark Dadson in the Category 4 race on the right-hand side of your screen, because Dadson has attacked. He's on the 2nd climb, he's on the Bogota climb, and he is leading the Category 4 race. Joy Kaluma is doing the chasing, but Carvajal is there as well. So is McMurtry, Rojas is there, Alvarez is there, Velez is there. That is still a group behind as Dadson desperately digs hard to try to break this still significant group in this Category 4 race.
So looking at this group here, we've got Nicholas Spratt just working his way in through. It was the moves there being made by Phil Grace. I think really interesting, of all these races, almost the strangest tactics are coming in the Category 3 race. Because Category 1, we've got the UAE clan team on the attack. Category 2, you've got 2 hitmen up the road. And then you've got Cycling Parrot sitting in the mix. Category 4, you've got Dadson really attacking this. Category 3, we've seen some attacks, but that is a massive, massive group of Category 3 riders, Emma.
It is indeed. It's still an absolutely significant group of Category 3 riders, and there are a number now of Category 4 riders in the mix. And because of the size of that group, those Category 4 riders will be getting as much draft as possible, but the slopes are now starting to go skywards again, and I'm sure those Category 3 riders of blue jerseys will come to the fore of the group, and the Category 4 red jerseys will drop off the back. But taking a look at it, you know, it's only about 1.1k separating the front of the Category 3 pack with the front of the Category 4 pack. So this could all come together, but you're right. That Category 3 pack, well, it's interesting, isn't it? I say you're right, but we have said at the very start, 14 riders have taken top 5 positions this month in Category 3, which means only 1 rider has done it twice.
Wow. And that says everything, doesn't it?
The strength and depth across this race field in Category 3 is what you are seeing in front of you today. You know, this is what what we should say is expected. So Stretting, Neville Ross, Nogueira, Kochkov, Dijuc, Alberto Uran, Tom Gakes, Monella, Celebus, all of those riders. In fact, it's only Gakes who has done the double and got a first and a second. So, you know, really, really interesting, the depth of this race field and how the race parkour really plays a part in who wins in Category 3.
And from Category 3, we've just moved across to Category 1. And we've got Michael Knudsen and Mr. X100 still continuing to push this on. And I know what Emma is looking at when she's exclaiming in the background across in the studio, because that gap has grown and it is substantial. It's not going to be long before, in fact, I've just seen it go over the 30-second marker, and that is because we've seen a change in terrain and pace. So when the leaders are now on this flat section, the chasers aren't, they're able to push the pace up. When the riders are on the same kind of gradient, that's when you're going to get a much more accurate idea of the time gap. But that is still substantial, and it has to elicit some kind of response. I think we are seeing this group being too tactical, Emma. They need to push. Yes, we are still, are you ready for this? We are still 12.4k from the finish. However,
it is not insurmountable.
It's not insurmountable, but it could be decisive at this stage. You let that gap go much further, and you're probably reaching the stage where they can stay clear, because what we've got to remember is that Pablo Popovic is going to sit on the wheels of anybody who moves in this group, because he is the teammate of the two riders in front. And if there's one thing we know the UAE clan team will do, they know the word team and exactly what it means.
Yeah, they do indeed. But the tactic here really now is to sit at your TT pace. This gradient is not huge all the way up this climb. You know, the average gradient is 3.6%. The biggest gradient we see on here is 7.7. This is now the moment to go into time trial mode. Pick your time trial, pick your heart rate, pick your power, and sit at it and do not move, because that is the only thing now that is going to get anybody from this group anywhere near those front two riders. Looking at each other, playing cat and mouse, wondering what the other squads are up to is not going to get you anywhere. You know, it is going to get you the fight for second place between the Belgian Waffles and Italian Gelato. But Italian Gelato have got 3 riders in this group. Belgian Waffles have 2. So that's already done and dusted. The issue here is, can you close the gap on the 2 riders in front? And really, can you put your teams aside and just get on with the business?
Well, and the other thing to bear in mind, don't just give this away. Don't give this race away, because if you give this race away, you're going to be in trouble, and then you're going to be finding yourselves really up a certain creek without a paddle, because this is absolutely critical. But remember, your team could, the UAE clan team could lose a rider, and then they're going to be really in trouble, and it's back wide open again.
Well, exactly. Anything can happen. As you said, Matt, there's still more than 10 kilometres of this race to go in Category 1. That is still a significant amount of riding. I'm looking at the time here, and I think we've still got around 20 minutes of racing left. Let's get on with it. A good TT. Let's get your head down and let's get rumbling. So Category 1, Knudsen is doing the business on the left-hand side of your screen. Category 2, it is a small group. We've got Phil Graves, Carsten Mayer and Nicholas Spratt. These 3 riders are tapping their way up the mountain in Category 2. Taking a look at that, they're coming up to 35 kilometres of this 45-kilometre race. An hour and 2 minutes of racing so far. Graves, Mayer and Spratt, 2 hitmen. It is absolutely continuing to roll. Mayer from the Cycling Parrots, we've got that in there as well. 34 seconds to the group behind, being led by Cam Winfield. Oviedo is in there, Ospina is in there, absolutely motoring at the moment. In fact, Cam Winfield putting a massive dig in at the moment. Come on, this is going to favour a brave rider today, because that's still a big chase group. 2 posts, 2 positions, still fighting for 4th and 5th.
Really interesting, isn't it? Cam Winfield, we know he's such a strong rider, Emma. He's got a sprint on him, but he is really improved. And I think the time it takes to complete this course really plays into the sort of training he's going to do for his mountain biking. We know that he's a winner. He's a rider who wants to win. He's not just somebody who's going to sit back and let people take positions. He'll go to the very last centimetre of the course. Really critical to see that action as he continues to push here. So here we go, on to the climb now. Mr. X100 coming through here. He's looking very good indeed as he makes his way up through this climb. And Mr. X100 here, although he's been distanced by Knudsen, do you know what? He's still working. He does not want to give away any seconds, any time at all as he makes his way up this climb. So Mr. X100 at the moment in second position, chasing his teammate Michael Knudsen up at the front of the race behind. Martin Martins in pursuit, and I tell you something, Martins is coming at a pace here. He's about 4 seconds behind Mr. X100. Here comes Martins, and he's got company. Syed Safrazad is on the move now. This is going to be very, very tight at the top of the screen here because they are continuing to chase, but it could leave us a solo leader up there. Let's see what's going to happen now. This is a chase on the left of your screen, on the right hand side of your screen. Michael Knudsen, he's continuing to try and hold them off. Can he put enough time, enough riders in between to give the UAE clan team enough of a gap? This is close. It's going to be very, very tight here as they make the way up and through. Who will take this? Will it be Knudsen? Will it be the chasers? That chase is coming. The screen is lit up. Talbot is in there. He's working hard. He's the nearest rider to Knudsen. Then it's Martins. Then Safrazad. It looks to me like Vujasin also in the mix. But Martins, well, I did say earlier on in the show, he's a rider who has got pace. He's got power. He's on some great form. And Martin Martins is the man in pursuit, but he's got Talbot with him. Popovic is having to answer this. They've gone flying past Mr. X100 and now Michael Knudsen. Well, look at this. He's right up and working his way through the chasing group in Category 3. That means that there are going to be 3 riders in front. A quick reminder, only Categories 1 and 2, and Categories 3 and 4 that can see each other. So 1 and 2 can see each other, and 3 and 4 can see each other. The categories can't see each other if they're in 1, 2, or 3, 4. That doesn't mix. So you can see at the moment, Knudsen with some company for a change. It is the leaders in Category 2, and that is a much bigger group that he's in than the leaders in front, but he can see them. They're just up the road. I'll tell you something, I wouldn't want to have Knudsen chasing me down.
No, absolutely not. But the early patience from Knudsen has absolutely paid off today as he has put the effort in and really pushed on away from this group. Now, taking a look at this, he is about 150 metres ahead of David Talbot, who is leading the charge behind. So Talbot, Martins, Noren, Safrazad, Vujasin, all in that group, absolutely pushing on and pushing on hard. They're continuing to climb. They've got a distance still to go. And that distance, well, it's around 8.5 kilometres for Knudsen. There's still some significant racing to do as Knudsen is about to get onto the back of Mayer, Graves and Spratt. You know, he's pulled Cam Winfield up with him, Matt. Cam Winfield, the youngster who has been on phenomenal form in the mountain biking in Australia. They've been towed by Knudsen and the rest of that group. Now, those 3 riders, Graves, Spratt and Mayer, are not going to be happy about that. But that's what happens on the Sunday Race Club. Part and parcel of the tactics, part and parcel of your thinking. And Knudsen is now leader on the road in Category 1 and 2.
So Michael Nutten working his way up here, and that has brought it all together. But Phil Graves, he's trying to stay with Nutten here, not content with that race coming back together. He's going to try and use that same tactic, sit on Michael Nutten's wheel. These riders are riding at 40 kilometers an hour. That's nearly 25 miles an hour in Imperial money, and the pressure is on. Knudsen at 7 watts per kilo kicking out there. He's still got Graves on his wheel, and Graves is using this to good effect. So Michael Knudsen's attack could take him to the win in Category 1. It could also set the pattern for Category 2 because it brought the groups together. Now it's pulling Phil Graves clear, and they're having to respond. But of course, they don't have Michael Knudsen towing them up the climb.
It's Yarhead who's trying to respond with Mare and Orlando in there as well. Winfield is around and about as well. And boy, they are having to work hard, those Category 2 riders, because Philip Graves has slung a tow rope onto Michael Knudsen. He is getting an absolute lift. I say he's getting a lift up this mountain. He's having to do the work to stay there. It's not an automatic pass. Phil Graves digging deep to stay with Knudsen. Knudsen continuing to push on, and those yellow jerseys, well, they are now a significant way down the mountain. It's around 250 meters down the mountain, and that, by the looks of it, is Noren, Vujasin, Talbot, Martins. X100 has been caught by this group.
That was really, really telling, wasn't it? So here we go. We are going to make our way up on to the top of the selection. Remember, this is 45 kilometers of racing, a total ascent of 914 meters. We are already well on our way up. 650 meters of ascent done for David Talbot so far. He's just approaching the 38 kilometer marker, and Talbot, I think, he's on some fantastic form. He's looking very strong.
Well, he's looking very strong, and my question is, where is Popovic? I am looking at the screen at the moment. I know Knudsen is up the road. I know this group have just gone past X100. Where is Popovic? Because Popovic is with Mr. X100. They are 20 seconds back. Oh my goodness, this is absolutely going to be it, because the Italian Gelato, 3 of those riders are now ahead of the other 2 riders in the UAE clan team. This is now all going to come down to how much of a distance has Michael Knudsen put onto the pack, and how far back are Popovic and X100.
And we said, do not give up. We said, do not give up. Basically, you had to keep on pushing because you couldn't bank on it all being over just because there were 2 riders in front. This is why you've got to keep going, and this is why these squads are racing so strongly, and why it's so hard to take away that top prize of 50,000 AED, or the equivalent, I think it's about 15,000 euros, near enough, for the top win. This is really, really critical today. The riders have to be aware of everything that is happening because it's constantly evolving. One thing that seems to be a constant, though, is David Talbot is pushing once again. He's just used the chase with that pack. That was smart riding. Really, really strong.
Well, yep, he is absolutely nailing it, because he has not got long to go now. Maybe around 12 or 13 minutes of racing left. Come on, anybody can ride 12 or 13 minutes, particularly if there's an ice cream at the top. Get that freezer working, get that ice cream ready. You deserve it at the end, Talbot. Now just keep moving, because you just got a 20-second gap now to Knudsen. The gap is important. The top 3 riders in each team, times are added together for the team competition.
And that gap is going to be key between Knudsen and the chasers, but also Graves and the chasers, because it's almost an identical situation, isn't it, in Category 1 and 2? You've got Graves and Knudsen up the road together, your 2 leaders, and this is about the team competition and what happens behind. But Talbot on a mission here is going to bring across Martins. I think Martins is being very smart here, riding with David Talbot. That is a good move. So Martins and Talbot working well together despite being on different teams, and they're united in their pursuit of the riders in front. 19 seconds. It's not over yet by any stretch of the imagination. This could still come down to a sprint finish from a group, because we still have just shy of 6 kilometers to go, and it's pretty much all uphill.
Well, it is all uphill, but it is all to play for still, because these riders are riding strongly at the moment. So Martins, Safrasad, Vujassin, Bjarhed, Noren, Talbot, all in this chase group. The rider they're chasing is Michael Knudsen. He's 20 plus seconds clear. Phil Graves from the leader from Category 2 is the only rider in the mix. He's between Knudsen and this chasing pack. And do you know what? I've just seen Jonas Bjarhed. He is in this mix. He is a green jersey wearer. He is currently second in that Category 2 race, and he's hanging on as much as possible. Well, take a look at that. Just behind is the rest of that chase group in the Category 2 race. Everybody is working now for the last 5 kilometres of this race. Everyone is eyeballs out. Everybody is eyeing the prize, not just individually, but in the team competition, because this is the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club final for September. And the team competition is absolutely lighting up this race.
And it's not clear in any of our categories where that's going to go. We don't know who's going to take this away. This is so critical. Who is going to be the winner at the end of the racing here today in our individual competition, in our teams? It's going to come down, really, I think, to who's got something left in the tank. Emma, who's saved enough here? You've got to make some running. You've got to be up the front, but you've also got to have something left. We still have a substantial amount of distance. All of our riders between 40.1 and 41k at the moment. Yeah. That shows you how close it is when it's coming together. Remember, category 1 and 2 can see each other. That's green and yellow. And categories 3 and 4 can see each other. They are the riders in red.
I can tell you something, Matt. In one of our 4 categories, I can predict there is going to be a sprint.
Well, that doesn't take much doing, does it? Come on. I mean, you know, they're sitting on the fence and stating the blinking obvious.
Well, you know, we've said before, though, in Colombia, on the Paso Alto, we have regularly had a sprint finish because of the nature of this climbing. It's about making the group as small as possible and then going for it, because the groups are so well matched in each of the categories. It lends itself to this type of racing, and we've talked about category 3 already, because that is the largest group on the road at the moment. Category 4, well, you know, 11 riders in the top 5 this month. It's been different in category 2 and category 1, with repeat riders in those top 5 positions. But take a look at that. There is 4 kilometers to go. And it is a huge group of riders in that category 3 race. In the category 4 race, it is crazy. Not much smaller. So look at that, not. 15 riders in the leading group in category 4. That is more than 15 riders in front of you.
That's a whole coach load. They've taken a coach load out to the mountains for a day trip at the moment, because that is massive. I mean, that is
20 plus riders.
You can't take that to the finish. Surely somebody, I mean, 41.3k. We are now coming in, you know, when you hit 5k, I don't care whether it's going up a mountain or down it, 5k is that significant number. The number that's in your head at 5k. That is so key. And yet, we have gone past that. We've gone past 4k, and we still do not have a decisive move coming from this group. They've got to really go for this somewhere, because if they don't, they're going to be so much in trouble.
Well, with 3.5 kilometres to go, there is over 20 riders in the leading group in this category 3 race. They are continuing to work their way up this climb. 1 hour and 26 minutes of racing so far. Wow, amazing. Last time we were on this course, 1 hour 44 for the category 4 win. And that came down to a sprint between Acevedo and Quadrelli. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens today in category 4, but it is, look at that, it's Valles who is pushing on now, just pushing on here. Rojas has gone with him, so has Alvarez. Dadson is there as well as McMurtry. They are all lining up behind. They are going to run out of road soon.
They are, and remember, all of these groups in categories 1, 2, 3, and 4 are all approaching the finish at pretty much the same time. Now, we're going to bring you as much of the action as we can, but I have a sneaky feeling this is almost going to be simultaneous race finishes between all of our categories. So we'll bring you as much as we can. Don't forget, of course, you will be able to get the results on MyWhoosh.com, and make sure you go on there and look at those results. They are currently live as we speak. Then we'll go to unofficial, and then we'll go to verified. At the moment, we are looking at David Talbot, the man who is leading the chase behind Michael Knudsen, now in trouble. I'm not sure the wheels haven't fallen off his chasing wagon there, Emma. That is not looking good to me.
This is now all about seconds. Seconds count in this, and that is what this is about. So Safrazad and Noren, both from Italian Gelato, now pushing on as hard as they can. They've got 2.7 kilometers left. They need to make this count. They need to try and bring back as much as they can Knudsen, and the time is coming down, it's down to 13 seconds, 12 seconds. They are absolutely motoring up this mountain now. These last 2.5 kilometers absolutely are essential. 11 seconds to Knudsen now. So could the Italian Gelato do this? This is Noren. This is Safrazad, both from the Italian Gelatos. They are working their socks off here. Martin Martins from the Belgian Waffles. He is in this as well. Talbot is a Gelato. This is phenomenal at the moment. Vujacin is a Belgian Waffle as well. They are absolutely trying to get as many seconds as they can now in the last few, meters of this race.
It is. I mean, we are now at 42.8k. We are approaching 43k. We're going to have a 2k to go very shortly indeed. And as Emma has said, this will come down to seconds in category 1 and all of our races, because it is so tight at the top of categories 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to focus on our category 1, the top of the tree, and they are fast approaching the top of the mountain. And if you look at the gaps, these riders know that they've got Knudsen in front. How much has Michael Knudsen got left? He's been on the track since the base of this climb. Martin Martins now digs in 7.9 watts per kilo, and this looks to me like he is making his move. Come on.
They can see it happening, Matt. They can see the gap coming down. They can see the fact that they can do this. They've got enough road. They've got to absolutely dig. They've got to work their socks off. They've really got to push, and they've got each other pushing each other on, because Noren wants it, Martin wants it, Safrazad wants it, they all want it, Vujacin wants it, Knudsen wants it as well, but he has been out at front a long time now. And there's a difference between motivation to stay out front and motivation to chase. And it really depends what you are motivated by as to who is going to win today.
Is it going to be a solo win that's going to be more important? Is it going to be the team win that's more important, or will they be able to combine both? I can't wait to see what Michael Knudsen has to say about how hard today's race was. He always tells us it's hard when he gets in touch. Well, today I think he's going to say that's surely been the hardest. He cannot back off here because they are coming for him. It is now a 3 against 1. I think Vujacin is just struggling with the pace of the group of 3 chasers. So it's Knudsen in 1, 3 chasers behind Martins, Noren, and Safrazad. Then it's going to be Vujacin and Talbot in category 1. At the moment, Phil Graves is clear of Jonas Bjarhed in category 2. That gap, though, is still not decisive, even though time is ticking. We're about to hit that final kilometre marker. Here we go. 1k to go, 1,000 metres to go. It's Knudsen leading in category 1 on the left of your screen, right-hand side of your screen. Well, it's a little bit further for the riders in categories 3 and 4, and it's yo-yoing around Ismail Nogueira Sierra is leading in Category 3. He's caught all of the front of Category 4. Category 4 are a huge group of riders altogether, but they're not going to get to the summit as fast as this man is. Nudson's avatar's looking over his shoulder. He's going to have to look a long way back, and he's got a long way to go. It is now 44.3k under the wheels. He's now got 700. He's now 600 meters. The time is ticking its way in through. Emma, can he make this? This is the top of the climb.
Well, it is indeed the top of the climb, because that is the polka dot banner signifying the top of the Bogota climb. And Michael Knudsen is going to be the first rider in Category 1 to go underneath it, signifying 500 metres to go until the finish line. But take a look at that. That is Martin Martins on the left-hand side of your screen. He's the next rider under. This is absolutely phenomenal at the moment. So Knudsen goes under, followed by Martin, Safrazad, Noren. They are all there. It is around 10 seconds and it's fluctuating. Vujacin is a little further back.
This is going to be so close. Chasing group are coming in. The chasing group has got the polka dot jersey because they've been climbing quicker than this man. Knudsen's leading though.
Well, Knudsen continues to lead. He's got 100 metres to go. That is the banner in front. Knudsen can see it. They're coming hard from behind. Noren is chasing, but Knudsen can see the banner. He broke away early. He has stayed clear. Michael Knudsen takes the win in the September final on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club.
What a win for Michael Knudsen. He goes through taking a victory behind. It is going to be about that run for line. Martins, Noren, Safrazad, and now it's going to be Vujacin. I know Emma is going to be doing the maths in the background. She's going to be checking the screens because the team win is going to be super close behind. It's not decided yet as Phil Graves makes his way up. Phil Graves is going to come in through towards the finish line here in the Category 2 race. He's going to come through ahead of Jonas Bjarhead. David Talbot coming up behind. He has got Bjarhead on his wheels here. And again, the team competition is going to be so tight. We're going to see Talbot come up to the line. Is Talbot going to make this a gelato day? Will it be a day for your waffles? Or will we see the clan team take it? I think this is not going to be the clan team's day. Meanwhile, this is a sprint for the line. Every second counting as Acevedo goes in through. This is incredible, Emma. So close here between all of our riders.
Absolutely, and in every single competition here that we are seeing, Category 1 and Category 2, this is about seconds for the team competition. But take a look at that. That is the individual competition in front of you. So Michael Knudsen taking the win, 1 hour, 18 minutes, 41 seconds. 4 seconds in front of Martin Martins, who closed that gap. It was at around 24 seconds. He's brought it down, but not quite to take the win. So Knudsen in 1, Martins in 2, Noren in 3, Safrazad in 4, Vujacin in 5, Talbot in 6, Popovic in 7, and X100 in 8. That is all about the time gaps for the team competition. But, well, I think it possibly might be the Italian gelato.
What a great race.
Matt,
what a great set of races, Emma. I mean, wow. I think this has been absolutely astounding. I'll tell you something. It's been absolutely great to see all of the action. I'm so glad I've managed to join you from the Sarion's BMX from round number 6 of the UCI BMX racing and be able to jump in. And I love esports for that, and I love being on MyWhoosh. Please do remember to join me at Matt Fixer Payne. And of course, thank you, Emma, for anchoring everything in the studio.
Well, you can join me at Biking Emma on Instagram. It's been fantastic to have you join us, Matt, from the BMX in Sarrion. It's been lovely and quiet here in the studio today, and we have had some phenomenal racing in both the men's and the women's race. All that leaves me to say is thank you to Matt for joining us today. Thank you to the entire team at MyWhoosh for putting that show together. And thank you to the riders for creating that phenomenal action for us to put the words to. It has been absolutely brilliant, the month of September on the Sunday Race Club. And I can't wait for October. So looking forward to October next week. Stay safe till then. Enjoy your riding. We will see you next Sunday. Goodbye.